Let's take a look at Toyota's quintessential example of a mid-size truck. Hey guys, it's Brian here. So today we're talking about the Tacoma. It debuted in 1995 to replace the Hilux, which was a very popular truck in America. Now that truck has become the Tacoma and it's been around for a long time. The Hilux still does exist, just outside of the States. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the Tacoma, you must be living under a rock, because the Tacoma, in my opinion, is the absolute example of a durable, reliable mid-size truck. We used to call it a small truck, now it's a mid-size truck. For 2024, it's gone through a lot of changes from the frame up and even in the powertrain. If you didn't see my last video on the off-road edition in silver that I have posted, stay tuned for this because we're going to break this truck down on the inside and out and take it for a drive. Let's begin. Starting with the exterior of the new 2024 Tacoma, the first place I like to begin, which my regular followers know is my favorite place to begin, is the headlights. Standard now in all of the Tacomas are these LED projector beam headlights with a simple incandescent turn signal, which I really like. I really like the ease of replacement on bulbs. No sequential turn signal like was available on the 2023s, and a couple years older than that. But it's a simple look. They're tucked up nice and high like they should be. But a really big change as far as the lighting are these rectangular fog lights that are always LED as well. So there's no incandescent on those. If you go with some of the higher trims, you can even change the color on these fog lights, which is really nice. But it gives it an interesting look. What I really appreciate about the face of the Tacoma is it's not all grille like on the Tundra, which is an acquired taste that you can get used to, but we still have that separate snout with the high grille over here. And underneath, which a lot of people have already talked about, is this air dam, which is removable with just a few bolts. Also in the front on the fender flares are some functioning vents. I'm not really too sure what they're cooling off, but they do look cool. Let's give a little peek underneath. And one of the big things we'll talk about is the frame. So instead of a C-channel frame like on the last generation, which you had some exposure, which was easy to clean, we now have a boxed frame, which adds to that rigidity and durability on this truck. Now there's no way not to say this, but this truck is definitely a lot more chiseled. You can see there's a lot more edges and lines, and these are not fake lines here like on the Tundra. They're not little like dimple lines. This is actually chiseled into the shape of the body, which is really nice. And for the wheels, standard on the SR5 are these gloss finished alloy wheels. They're 17 inches. Kind of a similar design with what we're used to seeing. We have these forked spokes. And inside the wheel well, which is a big change, instead of plastic, which can get noisy, we have this fabric material here. So yes, it will hold on some of the mud, but I think after a few car washes and a little bit of high pressure water, you should be able to keep these clean. But what these do is these really help with the noise reduction, which is what I believe Toyota was going for. Now you may not be able to see this based on the lighting because the white is really grabbing the focus of the camera, but the rear suspension is no longer leaf springs. So you're given a multi-link rear suspension, which I will say from experience driving these already, definitely elevates the drive. And since we're under here, let's take another peek. Another thing that changed is the bed. The bed on the new Tacoma is a little bit deeper. So it is fully composite, which has been adopted by the Tundra and the Tacoma has always had, but we have a deeper bed now so we can fit more stuff. Now, fun fact about the new 2024 Tacoma, even though it's gone through all of these changes, to the inch, this truck is exactly the same as the third generation, so you can fit it in your garage if you could fit the last generation. One of my favorite things about the new generation Tacoma is I like how they have this brim coming out in the back with the third brake light and the bed light. The third window did get a little bit smaller, which we'll talk about inside. Another nice upgrade is these LED bed lights are standard and they're in a more optimal spot compared to at the end of the bed over here, because now they can shine in both directions instead of only really in the front. Let's take a look at the window sticker really quick. So this one does have the SR5 upgrade package, which is almost $4,000. It adds on a lot of stuff. If you went without this SR5 upgrade package, we would still be in the early 40s. That is a big point of contention with the Tacoma community. I won't dive too deep on that, but you are getting more equipment for the money you're spending. So it's not like Toyota's jacking up the price and still giving you leaf springs, a hollow frame, and no heated seats. In the back end of the Tacoma, one of my other favorite things are these taillights. They're big, they take up a lot of real estate, and when you put the blinkers on, they flash like this, and it grabs a lot of attention, really good for safety. I also like how Tacoma stamped in the tailgate is bigger. And the frame protrudes all the way to the end, and on both sides we have high jack points for really easy jacking up of this truck if you have to replace the tires, say you get a flat. And then another thing I like is we're still getting a spare, which I don't think Toyota plans on taking away. However, it's not the same tire tread as you get if you're getting an off-road edition. I guess Toyota's philosophy is if you have to change a tire, you're headed home anyway and the adventure's over. But some people are probably just gonna upgrade their tire and mount it somewhere else. But we're not really focused on off-roading when we're looking at an SR5. I've been with Toyota for almost 8 years, and I suspect that your typical SR5 driver is just looking for utility that's affordable. So I don't even really need to talk about how the tailpipe hangs a little bit lower, because your SR5 drivers are likely not gonna be crawling over boulders. They're likely gonna be doing work. They're gonna be doing renovations, running a business, stuff like that. But speaking of doing work, let's open up the bed. Still slows down nice. We have Tacoma written on the top, and here it is, the 5.5 foot bed, nice and deep. We have the same hooks. We have the 4 hooks, 1, 2, these swivel, and then we have the stationary hooks here. A lot of them are gonna come with the deck rail system, which you can put cleats. You can change where the cleats go. We get the 3rd rail back over here. What I really like, since I'm a 2021 Tacoma owner, is the tailgate is a lot lighter. It's way lighter than the 3rd generation. Really nice move. If you're to go with more of a higher trim Tacoma, you can get the electronic tailgate with a button over here that'll go down and up electronically. Another upgrade is that the tailgate now locks with the truck. Gonna give you guys one more peek inside since we have some good lighting over here. Here's a nice view of that multi-link rear suspension. Here's our boxed frame. And there's that composite bed sitting right there. So without getting crazy on the outside, let's start going on the inside. We're gonna pop the hood of this Tacoma and talk about the big changes in the powertrain. Under the hood, we are presented with the T24A FTS, which is Toyota's 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, made it to an 8-speed automatic. It drives really well. That's actually one of the huge upgrades, is the drivability, which we'll talk about. I like how the battery, instead of being in the front on the driver's side, adding to the driver's weight, is back to the firewall, and on the passenger side, which we might not always have a passenger, which is really good for that weight management. Now, if we peek our eyes around the passenger side, there she is. There's the turbo. Another thing I noticed is we're not getting engine covers with this new engine, so very interesting. We have a lot of exposure for dust and grime. I figure your typical SR5 driver is not going to care one iota about having dust on their engine, but just something to point out if you're more of a just regular truck person that wants to look fancy in their pickup. Alternator's still nice and high to get to down the line. Coolant's easy to check. Brake fluid's super easy to get to and check. That master cylinder is very easy to get to. The 3rd generation was rated from 18 to 22. This new generation is rated for 21 to 24, but I do suspect when you feel how nice and torquey that turbo is, you're not going to baby it. You're going to drive this thing, and it's just going to knock you back down to like that 18 mark, maybe even 16 to 20. No big deal. But one other thing I forgot to mention was, before we break inside this truck and really break it down, is I mentioned about leaf springs being gone. They're not completely gone. If you get the SR and you go with the base work truck, I believe it's on the 4x2 only, you'll still get the leaf springs, which kind of helps with that vertical weight coming down on the payload. So you can still get leaf springs if you want an absolute beast tool to do the job in the midsize segment. Starting with the passengers. Opening up the back door, I mean, we can see the back window is a little bit smaller. On the third gen, it comes out a little bit more, which we are going to notice when we open up here. There is a little bit less space. Not a huge deal, but a lot of people have talked about it. You can still fit adults. Here's the door card. Definitely more modern and edgy looking. We can see through the little wall here where you put your cup holder, where you put your bottles and cups and stuff like that. A lot of hard plastic. I like how we're flat here like the Tundra now, so resting your arm, it doesn't really slide off. I mentioned that a lot with the new trucks. Here's our new TNGA buttons, like on the Grand Highlander and some other models. This is the new TNGA F platform, which is our new global platform, which makes these drive better. The door sill protectors are small and plastic. They don't really come down and wrap around like a film, like on the third gen, but you should probably be able to get your hands on some that do that if you're not a fan of these. I suspect most people will be fine with this option. Here's the design of the rear seats. Rear defrosting wires, interesting upgrade. Comment down below if you have any issues with frost and ice and stuff on your rear windshield. I never did on my truck. And we have that steel stamped design here. More of a bucket style seat instead of that flat couch that you get on the third gen. So the seats hold you a little bit more. And we have an interesting way of getting the seat up. There's a little rope now. I do like this upgrade. It's a giant bucket to put your stuff. Cool design here, says Tacoma. If you go with the hybrid version, this is where the hybrid battery will live, so you won't have space down here. And they have a snap system for you to snap this rope right over here so that the seat stays. Down it comes. They still kept the rope in the middle instead of putting it here, which is a little easier. No big deal. We have that JBL sound system accessible to you at the SR5 level. So there's your subwoofer. In the last generation, you couldn't even get close to this in a base model truck. So nice to see the access to more amenities while keeping it at the base level. Let me hop in the back real quick. Nice to see a handle here that we didn't have. So yeah, just like I talked about, you can't really see over your shoulder as much. This is definitely cutting out your peripheral vision. That may make you feel claustrophobic, or it may make you feel a little more protected, depending on how you perceive that. The seat's a little bit more in my face. I do like how these are a little bit more forward and angular and sporty, like a trapezoid shape. It's tighter back here. This seat is set up for me. I only have about 4 or 5 inches. In my 2021, I probably got about 6 to 7 inches. I think it's a matter of a couple inches. No vent in the back at the base level, but a charger, which is nice. Same style cup holders. A pocket here. Now this seat is set up for somebody relatively tall, so we really cut out the leg room. I would say this is somebody who's 6'7". This seat can go forward a little bit more like this. So yeah, definitely tight. Now I promised you I'll talk about that third window. It's a little smaller. Height-wise, it's a little bit smaller, but when you look at it here in its frame, it works. It just looks extra small from the outside. This is still plenty of room for you to get some airflow, but you can't really pop your head out as much height-wise as you used to on the third gen. More sleek and more kind of private. Just depends on how you perceive this. You might like the privacy, or you might have wanted the bigger windows. And we have more headroom here cut out. So yeah, the height of the cab is higher, so we have more headroom, which people have been asking for. I mean, you can see it. A lot more headroom for height adjustability on the passenger side, height adjustability standard here on all trims. We have the height, it's just we're a little scrimped this way. Speaking about space, let's go into the passenger seat, look around, and then work our way into the driver's seat. Getting into the Copilot side of the 24 Tacoma SR5, looks like this. I will say I really do like this stamped steel design here. This is cool. It's not too dramatic, but it kind of just pops out just enough. subdued. Onto the door card. A little bit more edgy, a little bit more sporty here. Let's check how it feels. So yeah, we got a little bit more spongy material here, so we're more comfortable for the front passengers. Hard plastic right next to it. I would have liked to see something soft here. No big deal. Hard plastic here, which is fine. Super durable, nice and flat so you can rest your arm. I like that we went rubberized on the handle instead of just simply hard plastic, but I would have liked the rubber to wrap around where my grip is truly going to be. But it really depends on how you're grabbing this. This is cool. It's like a grille style here, so we can actually see what's inside of it. I like that. We can see what's going on. And courtesy lights, I've been asking for these for a long time. Thank you, Toyota. Big thank you. Courtesy lights in my Tacoma review on my truck. I said I wish I had these. These really come in handy so you don't step in stuff when you're getting out of the truck or if you drop something. Really nice to see. Same typical Toyota floor mats with those individual cells so that the slush doesn't get sloshed around. It kind of gets trapped in those cells with the now white Tacoma letters. A height adjustable lever on the passenger, really nice for the short people. Let's get inside. And here we are. So yeah, this seat is really far back. I'm fine here. Much better visibility in the front. A lot more headroom. We'll talk more about these when we get to the driver's seat. This is nice. Has a nice gloss black finish. I believe all the sports will come with a white here. This has more of a glittery, almost like a bronzes gray. New style vents. No more of those circular ones. We have the JBL tweeters. And they did change the handle. So instead of it coming out this way and being big, it went small and it doesn't even feed through. I will admit it works just fine. You don't have to be a true rock climber to get in here. It works and it saves space and visibility. So it works for me. I'm okay with the change. The glove box is a smidgen smaller, but still really easy to reach into. Nice, big, and square. You're just losing a little bit of space here, whereas in the third gen, this was all open and you could do a true divider. But I like how the cabin air filter is still easy to change because I change mine a couple times a year. So let me know, guys, so far if you're watching still, thank you very much. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like. And I would just like to take a moment to thank my subscribers and ask you, if you're not subscribed, to please give me a subscribe, because even if you don't watch a single other video from me and this was the only one you like, subscribing will actually help YouTube push my channel out so other people who didn't find me may benefit from my Toyota material. So that would be such a huge help, and it's such a small thing. If you could just like and subscribe, you make all the difference. Thank you so much. Let's go into the driver's side and talk about all the goodies before we take it down the road. And here's what it's like getting into the new 2024 Tacoma SR5. Same thing on the door card as the front passenger. We have the automatic down and automatic windows on all four. Super jealous as a third gen owner. So that's a nice update. I love automatic windows. No more chrome shiny door handles, which may have just been a TRD thing. I learn every day. A manual seat at the SR5 level, which I actually like. I prefer manual seats. I'm a very weird person. I don't like electronic seats because I can slide super fast, recline super fast. With an electronic lumbar support, I do support the electronic because I did not like the turn wheel that you used to get in the third gen. Let's hop inside real quick. Give her a start up. Oh, up here now. Get that on auto, turn it down. Let that AC start cranking up. Not quite the fancy introduction I may have expected for a new generation. On the fully loaded Tundras, we get quite the introduction. Not a big deal though. Very easy readout speedometer, very simple to some of the new Toyota models. My center console is sufficient. This doesn't come up as easy as the 3rd gen, but it's fine. It also doesn't slam down. Little bit less space. They will probably make a center console safe available for this because I know people will ask about it. And the cup holders are closer now instead of 2 over here, but we lost one because we used to get 2 in the front and 1 in the back and 2 over here, so we lost one. But these 2 should work. We have that cool design like underneath the seats over here. The credit card remote key fob, pretty cool. And of course some blank buttons for the more loaded Tacomas that have more options. Here's our Tundra-like steering wheel with full controls of the MID, phone calls, the new cruise control system. It's got all the updated Toyota Safety Sense, and now it does steer you with that lane departure alert. So when you're in lane departure alert, it'll finally steer you back in your lane. Also, another nice thing is the headlight leveling on the fly for when you're towing, which was only a Tundra option, now on the entry-level Tacomas. Now, of course, when you're looking at a TRD Pro or one of those trail hunters, this is going to be loaded up with stuff, and you'll have some accessory options here. An updated version of that old school bed light button, nice to see. One thing that I'm not a super big fan of that a lot of people won't probably care about is I'm not a big fan of these little dashes here for the fuel and the temperature. I'm more of a needle guy, but that's not a big deal. Let's check out the infotainment system in a minute. See what kind of menus we have on this new speedometer. So individual tire pressure at the base level, that's nice. Here's all our safety sense and different options here. We do have parking sensors on this too, which is part of that upgrade package. On front and rear, which wasn't even an option on the TRD off-road for the 3rd gen. You can also go side to side and see all kinds of stuff. I'll have to change the language later, but you have different trailer options, so it can learn the trailers. It can change the blind spot monitor, which this one has, to operate with the trailers, which is nice. There's tons of stuff going on, so check out my tutorial on the off-road for more info on this, or you can wait for the tutorial that's going to come on this vehicle soon. Lots of different settings, lots of technology, a lot more pages than the previous MID. For the infotainment screen, we're working with the 8-inch screen. There's an available 14-inch screen on the TRDs and up. That's a massive screen that goes like this. I personally like the smaller screen. Some people have said this bezel looks a little weird. I personally don't mind because it's somewhere that I can kind of rest my hand while I aim at things, because I don't like to aim like this, because then I miss and I keep staring at the screen. But if I rest my hand up here somewhere, I can touch things, and this won't give me all that chicken grease from my hands while I'm operating my radio. The climate control is nice. It's still utilitarian. It still works good. It's not a dual zone. So we got the fan level over here. That heated steering wheel, which I'm super jealous of. And also nice to see trailer braking standard on the SR5 level. On the bottom row, we got those defrosting side mirrors, which are a must, and it's more of a lever style here. So we got the AC, the recirculate, heated seats are right on the sides. Everything's easy to see and read, which is nice. And for the 4x4, it's closer. I no longer have to reach for the 4x4, and I no longer have to visually look for my push start button. It's a lot higher and easier to see, and that 4x4, I can literally operate it without moving an inch. And the way it works is there's a little white button over here, and I can just move it from 2 high to 4 high like that. Then if I want to go to 4 low, I just put it into neutral, and then I go into 4 low. Back into 4 high, back into 2 high, and that's all without even moving my arm at all. Good moves. And since we're down here, I also like the automatic parking brake. I didn't mind the hand cranker, but the truth is those cables can wear out. The electronic mechanism, it's just simple, it's more reliable, it's easier to work on. The only downside is as the vehicle ages, it might get a little bit loud over the years, but that's not a big thing because every time I put this thing in park, it applies that parking brake, which is great because you don't want to be parking on the transmission, you want to park on that brake. And the wireless charging, which is part of the upgrade package, is cool because the phone will be upwards, so if you get an alert, you'll see it, and then you can operate your phone right on the screen, which is nice. Speaking of the screen again, fully wireless CarPlay, fully wireless Android Auto, no more having to plug it in. You connect to Bluetooth, and you can operate your Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps, whatever your heart desires. So that's nice as well. Still got a 12 volt hanging out. Toyota always gives you the 12 volt, and I forgot to mention we have a bag hanger here for the purse, and it doesn't roll around, or maybe like a garbage bag clip over here. You just hang the bag right there and it doesn't go anywhere. This is a grab handle for the passenger, so they have one here and one here, very similar height, so if you're kind of going on a bumpy road, they can grab this and it kind of helps them stay in their spot. So that's nice to see. Up top, another nice thing, black upholstery at the base level. I've said this in Tacoma reviews before, I really like the black upholstery. It just gives it a more modern, sportier, high quality look and helps create a contrast on the windows so we can see outside a little bit better. And an auto dimming rear view mirror at the SR5 level. Of course, every Toyota comes with 10 years or until the 4G network goes away of Safety Connect and the electronic rear window. Just good enough size. So, like I mentioned before, the price is higher on these Tacomas, but as you can see, working with the inside, we're getting more for the money. And I already know there's going to be the SR5 people that say, but Brian, I don't want the heated steering wheel, I don't want the heated seats, I don't care about the electronic parking brake, I don't care about the auto-dimming mirror, and I don't care about the electronic rear window. I really don't need any of that stuff. I don't even need the parking sensors. I don't need any of it. Well, you could try to get the SR5 without the upgrade package, but you'll still be in the 40s, which is a little bit of a bump from what the SR5 was, but that's just where we're at now. You're still getting the updated frame, you're getting the updated suspension, you're getting the more modern powertrain, you're getting a little bit better, more gas mileage, and better safety. So don't feel like you're not getting anything for your money. I'm not pandering to Toyota. I'm not saying expensive cars are the thing now and that it's okay, but at least you're getting stuff for the money. Let's take this Tacoma for a drive and see what I think about the way this thing drives, and hopefully it'll help you see the way it drives and see if it's worth the money for you, and then we'll wrap up the video. This is a brand new turbocharged engine and it's up to operating temperature, so I'm not going to hammer it too hard, but let me open it up a little bit for you. So I was about 3/4 throttle and it got up to speed really nice. And the big update that this new Tacoma has is it doesn't have that lag in acceleration like the V6 does. The V6 is a little frumpy, it's a little lazy, it's a little sleepy on the shifting, and sometimes that V6, when you thought it would downshift and rev, it upshifts awkwardly and the RPMs go down. This doesn't do that. It's instant power the second I push down the pedal. It makes me want to go fast. The visibility is great. It's actually a little bit better because we can see through where that mirror is a little bit more. So the mirror has a longer arm, so I can finally see in the corner over there. It feels light at the foot. The 3rd gen feels like I have a pair of hiking boots on. This kind of feels like I got a pair of those new sporty sneaker-like hiking boots. They're just, it's light. It's light at the foot. And I can kind of hear that whooshing of the turbo, which is cool. I mean, that's always fun about a turbocharged vehicle. This is the big thing. You get the updated drive. I like this non-shiny, non-chromed emblem. I used to prefer the chrome, but that sandblasted silver does look nice. And it doesn't reflect sun in my face. It's very light at the feet. It accelerates really good. It knows exactly when to shift, especially compared to the last gen. Good updates. Like I mentioned, going around the turns, it as a TNGA framed truck finally, I'll admit it takes the turns way better than the 3rd gen. It really does, and that's a big thing. You really got to flex your abs on those 3rd gens when you're taking turns. Not that you're really driving fast in a truck anyway, but this suspension with the multi-link rear, it does a lot more of the work for you, so I don't have to flex my stomach every time I'm taking a turn more than 5 miles per hour. Let's get back to the store and wrap up the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Give me just a moment. So there we have it, everybody. We took a look at the 2024 Toyota Tacoma SR5. We talked about some of the changes, broke down the exterior, worked our way inside, went over the powertrain upgrades, and then drove it. I want to know what you think personally. There are some useful links down below that I want you to see, but what's more important to me is you commenting down below and sharing your opinion about this truck. Do you own it already? Do you like it? Are there some things you don't like? I already know some of the things that you guys will and will not like on this truck, but prove me wrong. Share your opinions down below. And again, if you're watching this far and you enjoyed the video, please do me the huge favor and like the video, give me a subscribe, and get me out there so that other Tacoma people and Toyota people can see this and be exposed to some of these machines that we are selling. And with that said, I hope you really enjoyed the video. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.